How you guys doing? Jammin' John here with the Thralls of Metal. Got an album reviewed for you today coming from the guys from Screaming Toilet. If you go to screamingtoilet.com, check it out. They've got album reviews, movie reviews, pop culture reference, discographies, all sorts of crap. Really good time at that website. Definitely check it out, screamingtoilet.com. Today I'm reviewing Uneven Structure's new album, Paragon, found now on Long Branch Records. They were on Basic Records prior to that. They left them in 2016. This is their third full length. They have one EP, 8, which came out in 2009. The band was formed in 2008. Oddly enough, the vocalist of Viljarda, Daniel Adel, that was the only record he was on. He then left to go to Viljarda, which I think was a great move for him, and then replaced with Matsu Romarin in 2010. The record starts off with the song Magician. It's a pretty straightforward song for these guys, if you've ever heard them before. It's actually more melodic and ambient, but it kind of sets the overall pace for the record. There are some djenty moments in it, but it's more of like a Tesseract kind of feel, which is cool. It's not real long, but like I said, it does set the pace for the album. Next in line would be the track Hero, which again just continues off of more of what the intro track was. It actually kind of leads into it really well. Again, a real kind of Tesseract vibe, not really what this band, I think, would be like the focal point for this band. It doesn't really kick in until it gets to the song Innocence. It's the first time that the record gets heavy with a more djenty feel. This band was marked as djent because of the guitar tones that they used. The guitar tones were so low it reminded people of Meshuggah, which is where djent initially came from. And this track is no slouch in that matter. The vocals get heavier, while still maintaining, though, the overall melodic ambience of the album, which is found throughout. Well, next in line would be the song Caregiver. It's an instrumental song, but it starts off as an industrial song, which is kind of strange. It reminds me of like Ministry meets Orgy at times, but it's all instrumental. These instrumental tracks, I think, are found throughout Uneven Structure's catalog, especially on the record February, where they appeared non-stop. But this is the only time I've ever heard these guys go industrial. Not a real long song again, but it's kind of interesting. The next one would be the single that they initially released, Outlaw, which I think is one of two major takeaways from this album. This song is heavy as nuts. Really reminds me of Meshuggah via like the Catch 33 era or like the Chaos Sphere era. But the vocals, and this guy's vocals, always remind me of Depeche Mode for some reason. Like early on Depeche Mode as far as the overall tone of his voice and even the vocal harmonies, which is kind of cool. The riffs continue non-stop, though. It's just a great heavy song. But then when you get to the bridge, it returns them into more of like an ambient Tesseract thing. Again, these guys, especially their drummer, ghost notes. Ghost notes, ghost notes, ghost notes. Jay Posttones from Tesseract, I think, would be proud. The next couple songs actually are interesting because the lead-in is the lead-out from the previous track, and it flows really well with the album. It's kind of like if you didn't know where the tracks were ending and starting, you wouldn't know because it just flows really evenly. Again, it sticks with the whole melodic, djenty vibe. There's moments that sound like Textures via Textures' early career, like during the Drawing Circles era, which is one of my favorite Textures albums. Just reminded of that all over the place. The 8th song on here, too, is kind of cool, called Ruler. It has a piano intro, a really soft, ambient piano intro that goes for probably, I'd say, 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes into the song. And then when the vocals finally cut in, the vocals come over just a tribal drum groove. No real guitar. There's a little bit of like ambient notes in the back, but the vocals really kind of patternize and synchronize with this tribal drum beat, which is really cool. And again, the song gets heavy again too. There aren't really too many heavy moments in this record, but when they come, they're awesome. Another one of my favorite songs on this album, Jester. This track is pretty much like a barn burner for these guys. Just non-stop pummeling heavy djenty riffs. Again, reminded of Meshuggah a lot. Reminded of Monuments, maybe it's like some early volumes. There's even a moment that has a blast beat in it, which doesn't ever occur, as far as I know, in Uneven Structure. And then after the blast beat, it just goes really back into this like djenty groove thing. I really, really, really like this track. And then the next song, Lover. This is pretty straightforward for them. I think the song's only like maybe 3 minutes, maybe 3.5 minutes. But it goes back to their roots. If you've never jammed their first EP, this is what their first EP sounds like. This is when they were geared more towards a djent feel, and a really like straightforward djent. There's polyrhythms over like a groovy heavy riff, which is what attracted me to djent in the first place. The last track, Everyman, again comes in with just harsher vocals over again drums, which is kind of cool. You don't see that often in albums. And then after that, it goes into like more of like a melodic periphery groove, kind of like their song Race Car, if you know the riff that's on that song. It's kind of that same groove, maybe with a little bit of like Chimp Spanner thrown in. And it sticks with the melodic ambience again that's throughout the whole record. But the end of the song has oddly, and it's really the only time it appears, and really the only time I think that it would be, that this record could be classified as progressive metal, would be the end. Reminds me of a groove off of a Haken album, the song Affinity. If you listen like towards the end of that song, that's kind of where this groove comes from. And again, a really cool just lead out for the album. Very well done, very well produced. Again, if you're a fan of ghost-noted drums and ambient guitars, pretty much if you're a Tesseract or Textures fan, this record's going to be right up your alley. Overall, I give this record 3.5 stars. It was solid. I don't have any, real complaints about this album other than the songs were a little short. The ambient moments, while they were cool, I don't think they let some of their true elements shine as far as what makes this like a groovy, djenty band. So I don't have any complaints, in that fact. The thing also that I like about this record is there's a lot less interlude, a lot less segue going on. They actually filled the album with more musical content and songwriting, which is really cool. Again, overall I give it 3.5 stars, so... Alright, brings us to the end here. If you like what you saw, fucking excellent. Please like and subscribe. If you're new to the channel, definitely hit subscribe and that little bell. Because if you don't hit the little bell, you don't know when our new videos come out. Also, check out ScreamingToilet.com. Again, they're the providers of this album to us, so give those guys a whirl. We do stuff like this literally all the time, so please come back and check us out. You guys have a good night. Take care.